And he kept pushing on that, saying it was bad. And Norman, I'm gonna have to find a new place for you, aren't I? Come on, Norman, just be cool, okay? My phone's ringing now. It's so far away. It stopped. They'll call back if it's important. Hello! Good morning, guys. So today I'm back with another story time. I don't even know how to explain it. Mark and I still recall this tale. All our friends and family still bring up this tale. It could have ruined our wedding, but we decided to look past it, let's just say. We decided to look past it and the day got a lot better, but there was a point where I thought, oh my god, this day is ruined, what is happening? So basically, Mark and I got married in CFE, Church of England, and where we live there is a wonderful vicar at the head of the church there, and she's lovely, absolutely love her. She's friendly, lovely, really happy for her to marry us. So we went for the initial, you know, why are you getting married? Are you sure you want to get married? Are you sure you want to get married here? Blah, 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 blah. You know, checking things as the normal procedure goes. And the date that we gave her, which we were quite specific on the date because it was the date Mark and I had met and first got together, it was our first date. It was quite important that we had this date. She was on holiday, which, you know, that happens. It was July. People are allowed holidays, it's fine. What she did say was they had obviously another vicar and he'd be happy to do it, so we'll get him. And we're like, that's fine, okay. So we had to book another meeting with this guy, and I'm not going to say names or where we live or what church it is or anything like that because I don't want to go down that kind of worms, and we're moving soon and just, yeah. I don't even think this guy practices with this church anymore because of the amount of complaints that he had. So we went to the first meeting with this guy, and he actually lived in one of the houses that I have always admired where we lived. It's this really cute little cottage, gorgeous. And we went in and it was even more gorgeous inside, and he was really friendly. And it's like, okay, so let's have a chat about what you want and everything, and it all seemed fine. And my husband isn't a massive religious type. Getting married in the church was for me, really, which he did, which I was really, really grateful for, but I would never push to convert him because I find that the more you push, the more they pull away. It's something he has to come to on his own, and this vicar just kept asking us what we wanted, and we told him everything we wanted, the passages, the hymns, you know, how it all wanted to go. And once it started to get down to the nitty-gritty, that's when he started to really, really push back. And at the end of the day, we want our wedding to go a certain way. I know there are certain procedures you have to follow in the church, and I wasn't trying to change any of that, but it was just little things like I don't really like the idea of the bride walking down the aisle first, followed by the bridesmaids. For me, it is an American tradition, as far as I'm aware, that the bridesmaids go down first and the bride comes after. For me, that is just like a bigger, woo, here's the bride, rather than here's the bride, oh, and here's all the bridesmaids. My day, my day. Okay, I've completely forgot my train of thought now. Oh man. Do you like my hair though, guys? Like, if you watched my vlog yesterday, you will know that I tried to dye my hair purple and it came out like this pinky, purpley, really bright colour. And I can't stop looking at myself, it's terrible. I'm also in the same outfit as yesterday because disgusting, and packing, and can't find appropriate top for weather and for YouTube's that I've lost a lot of weight, let's put it that way, and my boobs fall out most of my tops. So. Oh yeah, bridesmaids. So I kind of said, well, this is how I want to do it. It's not really going to affect anything, just swapping around. So we did a rehearsal of it. And he said, oh yeah, that is better. I was like, okay, but that's what I wanted. It should be my idea, not your idea, sir. But I know these are like little nagging things and just like, oh, you know, how can you make such a big deal of this? Well, he asked us what we wanted in terms of a passage. And I ummed and ahed, and I was going to have I can't remember which one it is, but you know, the Love is Patient, Love is Blind. I really, really like that one, and I feel like it's perfect for marriages, but I didn't pick it at the time because I felt like it was such a cliche, everybody had it. So I sort of said to him, look, you pick a passage that you enjoy and you think would be fitting for us as a couple and for our marriage. And he was like, yeah, that's fine, I'll just say what, you know, I think is right. And I was like, that's fine, I don't mind. At the end of the day, if he quotes a passage from the Bible, it's not going to be too bad, is it? Well, it could be, but one logically would think that he'd pick something to do with love and marriage and commitment and things like that. So I was all happy with that. It got to the wedding day, and if you've been a bride, you know how nerve-wracking it is, how scary it is, and just you think everything's going to go wrong. And I'm going to tell you, something will go wrong. Something did go wrong. I'm glad that I took the high road with it, with many, many wines and champagnes, but I'm glad I took the high road with it because it would have ruined everything. On the day, he asked my husband, now I've only heard about this afterwards because obviously I'm at my parents' getting ready with my bridesmaids and he's with his groomsmen, getting ready, doing whatever. Apparently he goes up to Mark and asks, you know, oh, are there any children coming to this wedding? We're like, yeah, you know, Mark's got a huge family, so there are children and everything. So it was like, yeah, there's quite a few children coming. He was like, oh right, okay, that's fine, you know, I do have a little bit, you know, that can sort of appeal to the children. And Mark was like, oh, okay, didn't really think anything on it because it was his wedding day and he was making the cake, which was amazing. So he was a bit preoccupied. So basically, Mark's mum got lost. And it is an Italian little village, and we did give everyone directions and everything, but where we live isn't really mapped properly with GPS, so you can end up going down different roads, you can end up in the wrong place, so it wasn't her fault. But she was running about 10 minutes late. Now, Carl, who was my bridesmaid, messaged me while we were at the house with my dad, because everyone had gone down to the church, it was just me and my dad waiting to go down in the car, and he messaged me saying, come back 10 minutes, you know, just wait, because we're still trying to get people in the church, to which I was like, it's always someone. You can't get married without the groom's mother. So we waited, and then we set off 10 minutes later, and it was only like a 3-minute journey down the road, so I got out of the car. The vicar immediately comes up to me and goes, you're late. And I was like, I'm sorry. First of all, I don't think I would be the only bride in history to be a little bit late. Second of all, if you know me but at all, I am always on time. If anything, I am early because I hate tardiness. I hate it so much, but I was told to hang back because they weren't ready yet, which, you know, so we did. And it wasn't like, oh, you're a bit late, is everything okay, you know? Was there problems or something? You know, did your dress get caught on something? Or, you know, did you end up with 3 eyebrows instead of one? One massive unibrow. That was the look I wanted. One massive unibrow. Did something go horrifically wrong? You know, but it was just, you're late. And I was like, oh, we were told to hang back. He goes, you shouldn't be late. Now everyone's waiting for you. And he walks off. And I was like, okay, well that's a nice start. I'm already nervous enough, but you know, great, thanks. And then we started walking, and my dad and his friend did the photography. So he was taking pictures as I got out of the car and everything. Now my dress was very, very long, and it was the hottest day of the year, and I was just so warm, so I lifted my dress up a little bit as I walked, A, to not fall over, and B, because I was really, really warm. And the vicar just looked at me and goes, put your dress down. And I was like, it was literally, I showed my ankles, to which I thought I'd been transported back to the Victorian times where showing your ankles was pretty much a sin. Okay, sorry. You know, so I put my dress down. So I was waiting outside the church, and then the bridesmaids all went down, and then I went down. And when Mark just didn't look at me, and I was like, isn't he meant to look at the bride? Does he not want to marry me? Now, I've been freaking out. I have anxiety, and I will do a video on this. It's a really hard video for me to do, but it's one of the reasons why I'm absent sometimes. I'm not on social media, I'm not uploading videos, because my anxiety gets the better of me. I've spent most of the morning being like, he's not gonna come, he's not gonna come, he's not gonna come, he's not gonna come. I can remember my friends going, shut up, there he is. And I had to actually get my friend to message me saying he is at the church, he has turned up. And when I spoke to Mark later about it, he was like, yeah, I was there. He didn't have a wedding freak out. which I found really weird, and I'm waiting for him to have one like 3 years later. I had a freak out. I mentioned it in my last thing where I couldn't deal with all the people looking at me, and my maid of honour was just like, "Dush, you're doing it. It's fine." But yeah, I was walking down the aisle and he didn't look at me. And I got to a certain point and the vicar nodded and then he turned round. And I was like, well, at least he's looking at me. Apparently, when I spoke to Mark later, the vicar stopped him from turning round until it was at the correct point for him. I'm still convinced that it wasn't even our wedding, it was his wedding. He's just an absolute douchebag. And then the story starts to get quite, yeah. If I wasn't so bewildered with the day, somebody would have got it in the neck. I'm walking down the aisle, I'm freaking out because all these people are looking at me. I know every single one of these people. I love every single one of these people. But it is something about everyone having eyes on you, which is exactly how I planned it to be, but the reality of it was horrific. And in all honesty, until I said I do, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. I don't know whether I'm alone in this, but I absolutely hated it. And then as soon as I said I do, it was like, oh god, okay. That's fine now, and best day of my life. But up until that point, it was horrific. Because I was just so nervous. And I was walking down the aisle and my dad walked down with me to give me away. And he didn't leave until we started doing the proper vows. And when I later spoke to him, he says, I thought you were going to fall over, you were shaking so much, if I let go you might have gone. Which I didn't realise that I was shaking, but apparently I was. Yeah, we did the vows and everything, and that was lovely, and we said I do, and that was lovely. Sang a few hymns, and that was nice. And then we sat down to have the passages read. So this vicar decides that he's not going to read anything from the Bible like we asked him to, or anything to do with, you know, the happy event that this is. Instead, he decides to bollock the congregation about how getting married in a church is the most important thing if you want a stable marriage. And if you choose to have children, if you do not marry them in the church, they will not have a good job, they will not have an upbringing, they were more likely to have depression and pretty much just life all over. I would also like to point out that even though the majority of both sides believe in God, whether they're Catholic or C of E, the majority of them did not get married in churches. To sit there while this vicar constantly just told all of our friends and family how they were terrible, terrible people, and any children that they have had outside of wedlock, that's another thing he went on to say, has no chance whatsoever. So the ones who didn't actually get married in churches but were married and had children, you know, they're going to have a crap life, but the ones who had kids out of wedlock, they're going to be living out of cardboard boxes. Just unbelievable. And he went on for, I kid you not, about 32 minutes. Once that storm had passed, Mark and I went to sign the marriage licence, and we had witnesses and everyone who needed to sign it. Whilst that was happening, I was informed by my bridesmaids and groomsmen afterwards that he was going around with a puppet. And I haven't got a picture of this puppet. It's probably the photo I regret the most because everyone was busy, but he was going around with the puppet talking to the children. Now obviously he'd already off everyone, so he's not going to get the best response. And apparently the way he did it was so creepy that the kids cried. So whilst I was signing my stuff and everything, I could just hear crying kids, and just it. Yeah, the actual wedding ceremony was a bit of a shambles, which it needn't have been if it wasn't for this one pillock. And this puppet was also terrifying, apparently. I, again, didn't see this because I was too involved in what I was doing. Every time that I'm told this story, this puppet gets a little bit creepier and the vicar gets a little bit more angry. That was the story of our horrific vicar. No groom, when they stand up to do their speech, should have to apologise for the vicar beforehand. They should be talking about how fabulous I look in my dress, how my hair is all fancy and my makeup is so on point that I just look incredible. Not, I'm so sorry for the vicar, and have to spend 10 minutes explaining that the views of this guy were not the views of us and we're really, really sorry. So here's another bit to that story time. So we hired a bar because we had wine on the table, which most weddings do. We brought our own wine. From when my mum and dad go abroad to Germany, they bring back the wine, so we bought that and we had that on the tables. And this bar was so angry about it, even though we'd forewarned them She literally came up to me and said, I thought we were the only ones that were meant to be catering this wedding. I think it's disgusting that you brought all the wine in. And I was like, first off, we forewarned you about this. Second of all, you've made money. Not everyone's going to want to drink wine. You have made money. You made quite a bit of money, including myself. I went and had shots. I went and had soft drinks. I bought soft drinks for other people. I bought other drinks for other people. You made a lot of money off us. And the fact that you would come up to the bride on her wedding day and tell her that she was a terrible person for doing this. I'd had a few drinks. I was not kind to her, let's say. I don't know whether there's an etiquette or something that if you hire a bar they have to bring the wine in, I don't know. But I know for a fact that the wine that we paid for was about £3 a bottle, and it's the best wine I've ever had in my life. I know if I paid £3 a bottle, which I probably can't get bottles of wine for £3 from this place, it's gonna taste like, well, the only way I can describe it is like. The disco people we had were lovely and wonderful, and they took requests and they were really, really nice, but then later found out that they stole my granddad's watch. Actually, now that I recall all of this, pretty bad day, you'd think. Mark and I were just starting out in our lives, so we did everything on the cheap. We did pretty much everything ourselves. To us, spending, you know, 5-10 grand on a wedding, which is pretty standard, is just madness to us. We didn't have a house, we didn't have a decent car, we didn't have the things that we wanted in life. We weren't in our career point that we wanted to be. It was just madness to us to spend this amount on a wedding. So we did everything on the cheap, we did it all ourselves. I had such help from all my bridesmaids and everything. It's probably why we ended up with things like this. But the vicar, no, he would, regardless of how much you spend on a wedding, if you get married there, which is the church of, you know, where we live, he should perform as such. And I do believe he has been fired now due to many more complaints. Fortunately, there's wine and champagne in the world, which seem to make it a bit better. So there you guys go. That was the story of our wedding and how pretty much everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But, you know, it was still the best day of my life, even though all these things happened. Even though it was like 3 years ago, I still get angry. All the photos were lovely, so when I look back, we're all smiling and happy, so that's good. Don't forget to follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Snapchat and Instagram, all Beenafish. And if you haven't subscribed to me, then please go and do so, because, yeah, you should listen to me ramble about life. Wow, 25 minutes. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will see you guys tomorrow.